Let's talk about something I think we've all been through. Those times, maybe even whole seasons, where faith just feels, well, gone. It feels weak or distant or just not there. And you know what? It can feel super isolating. But you are definitely not alone in that. So that's what we're going to dive into today. What's really going on in those moments, and how do we find an anchor that actually holds on, especially when our feelings don't?
Okay, let's kick things off with a statement that kind of turns everything we think we know on its head. Faith is a choice, not a feeling. Now, at first that might sound a little harsh, but it's actually incredibly good news. Why? Because let's be honest, our feelings are all over the place, right? They change with our mood, our circumstances, heck, even the weather. If our faith depended on them, we'd be in serious trouble. This idea suggests that real faith has to be built on something way, way more stable than that.
And that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. If faith isn't just some emotion that comes and goes, then what on earth is it? What are we supposed to hold on to when all those faithful feelings have packed their bags and left? To get to the bottom of that, we've got to dig a little deeper. So our first stop is to try and figure out what faith actually is, to get past how it feels and to understand its real definition. And to do that, we're not going to rely on opinions or, our gut feelings. We're going straight to the source to see how the Bible itself defines this huge concept.
And here it is, probably the most famous definition out there, from Hebrews 11. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Now, I know that can sound a little poetic, maybe even a bit abstract. But what's so cool is that the original language is anything but vague. It's actually super concrete. Let's zoom in on those two key ideas, assurance and conviction.
This is where it gets really interesting. When you look at different translations of this one verse, you start to see a pattern. They use these incredibly solid, tangible words like substance, reality, proof, and certainty. I mean, that's not the language of wishful thinking or crossing your fingers. That's the language of something you can actually stand on.
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. That first part, assurance of things hoped for, isn't just wishing something will happen. The original language points to something much stronger, a guaranteed expectation, a confidence. Some translations even use the word substance or reality. Think of it like having the actual title deed to a house you haven't moved into yet. You have the proof of ownership. And the second part, conviction of things not seen, means it's the proof or the evidence of realities that exist outside of what our five senses can pick up. So biblical faith isn't a leap in the dark. It's a step based on solid evidence of a reality we can't always see.
Okay, so we've got this really solid reality-based definition of faith. But here's the thing. It's not just some abstract idea for a theology class. It's a tool that's meant to be used. So let's see how this definition actually works in the real world, especially when life gets tough.
Let's start with something we can all relate to: deep, painful sorrow. We've all been in that place where grief just feels like this heavy blanket, and it seems impossible to imagine that things will ever be okay again. So right in the middle of that long, dark night, faith is that assurance, that guaranteed expectation, that morning is coming. It doesn't mean we pretend the pain isn't real, not at all. It's the conviction that God is right there with us in the darkness, holding on to a dawn that we can't see yet.
All right, what about those times when you just feel completely and totally useless? When you are just so aware of your own weaknesses, your own limits?
And check out the incredible reversal here. In this context, faith means trusting that your weakness isn't actually a problem. In fact, it's the exact place where God loves to show up and display His strength. It means we don't have to hide our weaknesses. We can actually see them as an invitation for His power to be perfected in us.
And then there's fear, anxiety about the future, about our families, about all the unknowns. It's a feeling that can just paralyze you, right?
In this moment, faith is the conviction of a reality you can't see, God's presence with you. It's making the choice to believe in the certainty of His promise
over the overwhelming feeling of fear, trusting that He is a God who doesn't just make promises, He keeps them.
So we've defined faith, we've seen it in action, but all of this is leading us to an even bigger, more important insight. It's a shift in focus, really. And it's the one thing that can act as an anchor when our own faith feels like it's completely adrift.
Okay, listen really closely to this verse from 2 Timothy. If we are faithless, He remains faithful. Wait, did you catch that? Let me say it again. If we are faithless, that's us on our worst day. He remains faithful. This one sentence changes everything. All of a sudden, the spotlight isn't on how strong or weak our faith is. The spotlight is on the constant, unshakable character of God. And honestly, getting this distinction is the whole ballgame. We have to understand the massive difference between our faith, which can be so shaky, and God's faithfulness, which never is. Because that's where all the power and all the peace is really found. Let's just put them side by side. Our faith? It can be weak, fleeting. It gets tossed around by our feelings and what we see right in front of us. It's like a tiny little boat in a huge storm. But God's faithfulness? That's the anchor. It's constant. It never changes because it's based on who He is. It's the very thing that gives us stability for the realities we can't yet see. So if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. The strength of your faith has absolutely nothing to do with how tightly you can grip onto God. It has everything to do with the one you're holding on to. It's not about our grip. It's about the unshakable reality that He is holding on to us, and His grip never, ever fails.
The Apostle Paul even asks this amazing rhetorical question, and the implied answer is a loud, resounding absolutely not. Just think about that for a second. Our failures, our doubts, our moments of complete faithlessness, none of it can put a dent in God's faithfulness. His character is constant. It is who He is. And so we land here with this final, incredibly freeing thought. What if we've been looking at this whole thing backwards? What if all that pressure we put on ourselves to have perfect, unwavering faith was never the point? Maybe, just maybe, the goal has always been way simpler. To stop worrying about our own weak grip and just start trusting in the perfect, unfailing grip of the one who holds us.